Welcome to Live TV. Please let us know if you do not like the voice of BOT and your opinion about the video content to help us improve the service quality for next videos. Trump repeats Schiff should be looked at for treason. President Trump, speaking in the Oval Office, said House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff should be looked at for treason. Trump again said Schiff should resign and called him a lowlife, according to reporters in the room. Trump compared Schiff unfavorably to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, saying he couldn't carry Pompeo's blank strap, a self-censored reference to jockstrap. Trump is meeting with his Finnish counterpart. Trump aides prepare impeachment inquiry response plan. Check the video.
Us with the contents of a manila envelope that were delivered in either late April or May to the Department of State. And the cover of it looks like this. I don't know if you can see this, Wolf, but it says Secretary Pompeo, attention Ruth, and then up here it says the White House. So apparently the effort was at least to make it look like it came from the White House. Maybe it did come from the White House. We don't know. There were also a series of subdividing folders within the information, and you probably can't see this, but they said Trump hotels. And there were a series of sort of divided off folders under the Trump Hotel introductions. But basically, from my speed reading of it, Wolf, what this is a packet of propaganda and disinformation targeted primarily at Hunter Biden and Ambassador Yovanovitch.
Trump, Democrats are wasting everyone's time and energy on bullshit. President Trump is continuing to vent on Twitter, saying the Democrats are wasting everyone's time and energy on bullshit. Trump says whistleblower should be protected only if legitimate. President Trump said the intelligence whistleblower who raised concerns about his July call with Ukraine's leader was dishonest. Trump, speaking to reporters at the White House today, said whistleblowers' identities should be protected, but only if they are legitimate. The president also again insisted his phone call with Ukraine's president was perfect. Trump says Biden's son is corrupt. There's no evidence he was ever under investigation. President Trump, speaking in the White House moments ago, again claimed that former Vice President Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden, are corrupt. Let me tell you something. Biden's son is corrupt and Biden is corrupt. And I'd rather run against Biden than almost any of those candidates, Trump said. I think Biden has never been a smart guy and he's less smart now than he ever was. Remember, there is no evidence Hunter Biden was ever under investigation. Trump has repeatedly claimed that Joe Biden had called for the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating his son. But that investigation was into the business dealings of the owner of a Ukrainian natural gas company, Burisma Holdings, where Hunter Biden sat on the board of directors. Energy Secretary Rick Perry, we're going to work with Congress on Ukraine probe. Energy Secretary Rick Perry, who has made several trips to Ukraine, pledged today to work with Congress, which is looking into a whistleblower's allegations about President Trump's communications with the Ukrainian president. I'll just briefly say we're going to work with Congress and answer all their questions, he said at a department event on artificial intelligence and energy in Chicago. Perry is said to have replaced Vice President Mike Pence on a May trip to the inauguration of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Asked why he replaced Pence, Perry said, "Oh, I think it's because I'm just such a darned good cabinet member, and very capable, and probably pretty knowledgeable about the energy industry." Justice Department's Inspector General, whistleblowers need to be able to report what they see. Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz spoke out today about the importance of whistleblowers and said the Trump-Ukraine whistleblower complaint presents a challenge. This is an issue we care very deeply about, Horowitz said. Whistleblowers need to be able to report what they see. Senator Grassley had a statement yesterday that I think is very important. Congress has made it clear that they expect federal employees to report wrongdoing to them, regardless of which party is in power. Grassley, a top Republican from Iowa, broke with Trump yesterday when he said that the whistleblower who raised concerns about Trump's dealings with the Ukrainian government ought to be heard out and protected. Horowitz was at an event about government oversight at American University's law school. Regarding the whistleblower complaint about President Trump and Ukraine, Horowitz said, "This one presents a challenge in that IGs don't oversee the executive office of the president." Horowitz's comment echoed a sentiment that was included in the Justice Department's rationale for initially withholding the Ukraine whistleblower complaint from Congress. Their legal opinion noted that the Inspector General of the intelligence community, which received the complaint, doesn't technically have oversight of the White House. Senate Democrat calls on Pompeo to recuse himself from all Ukraine matters. Senator Bob Menendez, the top Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, called on Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to immediately recuse himself from all Ukraine-related matters due to his direct conflict of interest in the Trump-Zelensky scandal. "I write to urge you to recuse yourself immediately from all Ukraine-related matters. You have a direct conflict of interest given your participation in the now infamous Trump-Zelensky call, and there are serious questions concerning your role in the leveraging of U.S. security assistance taxpayer dollars to advance President Trump's personal and political agenda," Menendez wrote in a letter to Pompeo. Menendez added that he believes Pompeo's recusal is the only option at this point to prevent further erosion of the integrity of U.S. foreign policy. Some background: the letter comes one day after three House committee chairmen wrote a letter to Deputy Secretary of State John Sullivan, saying Pompeo now appears to have an obvious conflict of interest in the Ukraine inquiry due to his reported involvement in the July 25 phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky. Pompeo confirmed earlier today that he was on the July 25 call between Trump and Zelensky. Why an impeachment investigation could go beyond the Ukraine scandal. President Trump's phone call with the president of Ukraine is at the center of a huge whistleblowing scandal and led Nancy Pelosi to launch a formal impeachment investigation. During the impeachment investigation, will the House investigate only the Ukraine affair, or other potential offenses by Trump as well? Article I of the Constitution broadly grants the House the sole power of impeachment without imposing any limits on scope or timing. Thus, it is entirely up to the House to define the scope of its investigation and, eventually, any articles of impeachment. While the Ukraine scandal will surely be the primary focus of this inquiry, House Democrats have no shortage of other menu items to consider. The findings of Special Counsel Robert Mueller on Russian election interference and obstruction of justice, emoluments, and self-enrichment, and obstruction of Congress, to name three. For now, Speaker Nancy Pelosi is keeping a wide lens on the House's investigations. She has announced that 6 major House committees: Judiciary, Intelligence, Ways and Means, Oversight, Financial Services and Foreign Affairs will each investigate and then forward recommendations to the Judiciary Committee, which in turn will decide whether to recommend articles of impeachment, and if so, which ones, for a vote by the full House. While Pelosi has directed broad investigations by the committees, she also told Democrats privately that she intends ultimately to focus narrowly on the Ukraine scandal in articles of impeachment. This is a smart tactical move by Pelosi. She keeps her options open, keeps various House committees in her caucus engaged, and maintains the appearance of considering all options. Yet if Pelosi's strategy holds and eventual articles of impeachment focus solely on Ukraine, she will play her strongest hand without diverting attention by including more complex, potentially distracting matters. Trump hasn't grasped enormity of impeachment inquiry, sources say. Odds have been worried for days now that President Trump hasn't grasped the enormity of what is facing him in this impeachment inquiry. He has been lashing out privately, saying that Democrats are focused on bullshit. In recent days, he has taken on a more combative stance. People familiar with his mood say, "That's what we are now seeing publicly." Whether it means he will now take aides up on their offers to form an impeachment response team or hire new lawyers remains to be seen. One major aspect people have noted, which is a long-running theme in Trump's mind, is Trump's self-pity. People say, "Bob Woodward, this is very serious, but not as bad as Watergate." Legendary journalist Bob Woodward said Wednesday that the Trump-Ukraine scandal was very serious, but it's not as bad as Watergate based on everything that has come out so far. "You have a scale of criminality in Watergate that we haven't seen in the Trump case now," Woodward said. Woodward, who reported on the Watergate scandal, noted that President Richard Nixon was caught on audio tapes explicitly authorizing blackmail payments and blatantly telling his aides to commit crimes. Speaking at American University's law school, Woodward said the situation with Trump was very serious and could cost him the presidency, but the magnitude is not there yet. While Nixon's cover-up was massively funded by millions of dollars hidden in his campaign accounts, Woodward noted, efforts by the Trump administration to cover up damaging information about Trump and Ukraine appear to be a bit more haphazard. The White House and Justice Department took steps over the summer to keep the whistleblower complaint secret. A preeminent expert on presidential scandals, Woodward and CNN contributor Carl Bernstein led the Washington Post's reporting on Watergate that won a Pulitzer Prize in 1973. The whistleblower contacted the House Intelligence Committee for guidance. The whistleblower contacted the House Intelligence Committee for guidance on how to report complaint, Representative Adam Schiff's office confirmed today. However, Schiff's office denied seeing the complaint in advance. Like other whistleblowers have done before and since under Republican and Democratic-controlled committees, the whistleblower contacted the Committee for Guidance on how to report possible wrongdoing within the jurisdiction of the intelligence community, said Patrick Boland, the committee's spokesperson. Boland, who is also a spokesperson for Schiff, who chairs the committee, said in the statement that this is a regular occurrence. He added that the committee did not receive the complaint in advance, stating that they did not see it until the night before the acting director of National Intelligence's open hearing before the committee. Boland said this was more than 3 weeks after the legal deadline by which the committee should have received the complaint. Meanwhile, the State Department's Inspector General arrives on Capitol Hill. The State Department's Inspector General has arrived on Capitol Hill after requesting an urgent briefing with senior congressional staff members, after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo pushed back on House Democratic demands to turn over Ukraine documents. State Inspector General Steve Linick declined to comment to CNN on what he planned to tell Congress today. What we know, Linick plans to provide staff with copies of documents related to the State Department and Ukraine this afternoon in a bipartisan closed-door briefing with relevant congressional committees, a person familiar with the briefing told CNN. The briefing comes amid the House Democrats' impeachment investigation, which has been fueled by the U.S. intelligence community's inspector generals review of a complaint by a whistleblower who alleged President Trump sought help from Ukraine's government to interfere in the 2020 elections. Trump on impeachment inquiry. This is the greatest hoax. President Trump, asked about news that 3 House committees are sending a subpoena to the White House for Ukraine documents, called the impeachment inquiry the greatest hoax. This is a hoax. This is the greatest hoax, Trump said. The president added that he will work with Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and House Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Schiff. This is a fraudulent crime on the American people. But we'll work together with Schiff and Pelosi and all of them, and we'll see what happens, because we did absolutely. I had a great call with the president of Ukraine. It was 100. You have the transcript. Please let us know if you do not like the voice of BOT and your opinion about the video content to help us improve the service quality for next videos.